After World War II, Czechoslovakia regained its sovereignty, and at this time, its strength was not as good as before the war. However, the industrial base was still intact, and it still possessed a certain capability for weapon research and development. The Czechs were very interested in the successful performance of the Sherman tank during the war, and in the late 1940s they began related research. At that time, Czechoslovakia did not have an advanced tank chassis, and it was not possible to develop a new chassis specifically for the production of the Sherman tank. The Czechs had hoped that the TVP medium tank could yield results that could be directly used, but the TVP was soon discontinued. As a result, Czechoslovakia turned its attention to the Marder tank destroyer, a World War II-era legacy. The ST-1 chassis, which was modified from the 38T tank chassis, had good reliability and basic performance. The Marder tank destroyer produced from it played a significant role during World War II. After the war, Czechoslovakia still had the capacity to produce the Marder, making it a readily available chassis. The first prototype of the PM-1 flame tank was essentially modified from the Marder. The main gun was removed from the Marder's body, and the body was slightly enlarged to accommodate the installation of fuel tanks and a fuel pump inside the tank. The original hole from removing the main gun of the Marder was covered with a 50mm thick steel plate, and the driver's observation window was retained. The structures, such as the machine gun on the top of the tank, were removed, and a turret similar to that of the 38T tank was installed, where the flamethrower was placed. Because Czechoslovakia discovered a large amount of leftover German NP fuel mixture when taking inventory after the war, continuing to use it could save a lot of costs. Therefore, this prototype was equipped with old, German-made flame-throwing equipment, and there was also a Vis-37 heavy machine gun on the turret as auxiliary weapons. This prototype did not perform well in testing, mainly because the flamethrower's range did not even reach 60 meters, making it not combat-worthy. Additionally, its fuel tank was placed next to the crew, lacking necessary protection, and was considered a very unsafe design. Soon, a second prototype appeared using an improved turret from the 38T tank. The command tower was removed, and the auxiliary machine gun was changed to a 7.60 Bidium DT machine gun. Its biggest change was the use of a new flame-throwing device, with a fuel consisting of a mixture of benzene, toluene, xylene, and dimethylbenzene, stored in a 1,000-liter fuel tank in an armored box at the rear of the vehicle, with the power for the flamethrower being provided by 7 small pressurized nitrogen tanks. This prototype achieved a flamethrow range of 120 meters in testing. The third prototype was unveiled in 1955, with the main focus being on further enhancing the flamethrower's range. Not only was the structure of the flamethrower improved, but several new fuel types were also tested. When using the ANS mixture, the maximum range of the flame reached 180 meters. Although the range was sufficient, testing revealed other problems, such as poor fuel adhesion affecting the killing effect. While it was enough for killing personnel, it was slightly lacking for killing targets such as bunkers. Additionally, the new flamethrower, with its complex hose and other structures, resulted in a very time-consuming refueling process, which was unacceptable during wartime. Despite the personal involvement of Czech Defense Minister Václav Tolar in the design of the flame tank, it still did not meet the standards for service until the mid-1950s, and the PM-1 flame tank project was terminated in 1956. Czechoslovakia's industry was greatly affected by World War II, and after the war, it was somewhat inadequate in the research and development of weapons and equipment. The primary task was to restore the economy, and there was not as much energy invested in the development of equipment. In fact, looking at the wars that occurred after World War II, the role of flame tanks had already begun to decline. The targets that could have been solved with flamethrowers during the war could now be addressed with rocket-assisted grenades or directly with napalm bombing, which was safer and more effective. Therefore, there was no longer much need for specialized flame tanks.